For the first time since the Cold War, a potential nuclear threat is gripping the world. The Russia-Ukraine war is now taking a dangerous course, something that the US president calls an Armageddon threat. Joe Biden referenced the Bible to describe the current volatile situation. Armageddon is the prophesied location where the last battle takes place. Biden has compared that location with today's Ukraine and warns of an attack that could destroy the entire world. Russia has clearly said it will take all means necessary to defend its land, which means potentially nuclear weapons are not off the table. Biden also said that Vladimir Putin is not joking with his nuclear threats. What this means is that Putin might look towards chemical weapons as well to try and overturn the losses that his military has faced. The threat is growing real by the day. The month of September was a game-changer for both Ukraine and Russia. Moscow claims to have annexed Donetsk, Luhansk and parts of Kherson and Zaporizhia. But at the same time, Russian forces are now withdrawing from some of those very regions that they've annexed. Ukraine claims to be making fresh gains in the eastern part of the country. Well, for more on this, Edward P. Joseph, a foreign policy analyst, is joining us live from Montenegro. Thanks very much for joining us on the show today. What do you make of President Biden's latest comments?
I think that they're prudent and effective, and I think that they've been well thought out with his advisors. We have to remember those two key points that he made about Armageddon and about Putin not joking. In a way, those advance deterrence, which is what this is all about right now. First, by saying not joking, President Biden doesn't put Putin into a corner. He doesn't put Putin into a situation where Putin has to say, imagine Biden had said, he is joking. Biden doesn't put Putin into a situation where he has to prove that he's not joking, where he has to make some demonstration that he's not joking. So by saying that, in a way, President Biden relieves Vladimir Putin of the need to back up this threat. He shows Vladimir Putin, we take you seriously. We take your threat seriously. You don't need to prove it. On the other hand, by saying Armageddon, what does he signal to Vladimir Putin? He signals that we will not be cowed. We will not capitulate to nuclear blackmail, because the only way you get to Armageddon, of course, is by a series of escalations where the U.S. would respond and then Russia in turn would respond. But by mentioning Armageddon, Biden signals to Putin that the U.S. will not back down, not give in to nuclear blackmail, but in a way that doesn't humiliate or insult or further put Putin into a corner. So I believe it was a calculated remark, comes in the context of the signals that the White House has given already in this context. Please.
Yeah, certainly dire warnings there. But what course do you think the war in Ukraine could now take? Obviously, President Biden has put those warnings out there in response to President Putin. But where do you see things going as things stand at the moment?
Well, obviously, even military experts like General Petraeus and others do not make clear predictions about developments on a dynamic battlefield. There's no one who can say for sure that Russia will collapse or this course of events will actually happen. But at the moment, and in the context of the nuclear threat, which of course Putin only made because he's losing, he's suffering setbacks on the ground, very serious setbacks. So the strategy of the United States and its European Union and NATO allies is working. The U.S. and its allies are supplying Ukraine with the type of weaponry that it needs, particularly this long-range artillery, very accurate and mobile artillery that is devastating Russia and making it very difficult for them to hold the ground that they initially claimed. And now the momentum has changed. and Russian forces are being forced to, as in their words, regroup, actually retreat, and in some ways not in an organized fashion. In some areas, there are reports of even panic. These are soldiers who are, in many cases, not very well trained, and of course, their morale is low. But on top of this, Russia is running out of materiel, manpower and materiel, and that's where the sanctions come in. The sanctions make it incredibly difficult for Russia to sustain the war effort on the materiel, and we see Russia turning to countries like Iran for drones. And here we come, if you'll allow me, we come to the question of nuclear weapons, the use of tactical nuclear weapons by Vladimir Putin. If he does that, he risks losing the most critical support that he has, and that is from China. Also, I'm sure India would immediately remove any type of support or even ambivalence about the Russian invasion in Ukraine in that case. So Putin, the threat, President Biden takes it seriously, but it's not a threat that Vladimir Putin can execute very easily. Please.
Edward P. Joseph, foreign policy analyst, thank you so much for your time today and your analysis.